Scott Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong are strongly urged to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
On this terrific Thursday afternoon, yours truly sitting in for the next 2 hours or so right here on FanStream Sports, taking a look at the world of sports. Yes, want to send a tweet? It is at Opposite Picks. That's OPPOSITE Picks, P-I-C-K-S. Email me. Go to the website, OppositePicks.com. Hit the contact Scott icon and fire away, or just email swoppositepicks@yahoo.com. Little YouTube chat as well. Go to our YouTube channel, The Scott Wetzel Show. Hit that like, subscribe button, and converse back and forth we can throughout the 2-hour program today. Yes, what are we going to talk about today, you ask? How about a little NFL preseason football? We had the Hall of Fame game, but this, for all intents and purposes, is the start of the preseason. Who's in, who's out tonight? Red Sox bad run continues. Freddie Freeman flops. More college football over-under winners. WNBA debate, male versus female, undecided so far. Are we billionaires? We could be burying the lead in another profitable night with the boys in Vegas yesterday. Yes, we'll get to all those stories again, plus your tweets, emails, and YouTube chat right here on a Thursday edition of the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStreamSports.com. FanStreamSports.com. Yes, as we always do, start off with the boys in Vegas. Another 2-1 yesterday. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Now, one loss, an unfortunate thing, I suppose. I'd rather lose a game 10-5 under 8.5 like we had last night with the Stankies and Mariners versus, 5-4 when Seattle scores 5 runs in the top of the ninth inning when it looked like it was going to be a 4-0 Yankee win. I'd rather lose easily. So we lost that one easily, but we won with Tampa Bay in the afternoon easily. And then we tried, I tried, Red Sox fans, to put the black cloud on Toronto last night. We gave them out as a best bet, and Toronto still won. That's how bad things are. Season-long, 5-game winning streak for the Red Sox. So we went 2-1 yesterday with the boys in Vegas. Won $100 because it was plus 110, so that covered the vig on the Stanky loss. So we picked up $100. Not bad. Whether you laid the 2-1 or even if you laid the 1.5 on Tampa Bay, they get the sweep. 9-0 West Coast trip, by the way, by the Devil Dogs. How about that? So our picks over the last couple of weeks now, 24-10. $100 player is up $1,220. Plenty of money there to go over the Opposite Picks and go buy some Opposite Picks merchandise. Oh, by the way. We got a 3-pack for you later on today. We always try and keep it 3 if at all possible. So we got 3 more games, 1 WNBA game and then 2 baseball games, which we'll get to here in a second. Kind of a getaway day. Yesterday and Wednesday and Thursdays are getaway day games. Actually have generally, this is, Wednesday is the getaway day and then Thursday is the off day. Whereas actually we got about a half a dozen to 10 games, probably more than that. Yeah, about 10 games today. So usually the slate on a Thursday is like 5 or 6, but we got a bunch more. So we got a few games that are underway and then a few that we're going to play later on tonight that we will get to. So got some preseason football tonight. How about that? Got a number of games. You got a number of players that are playing, that aren't playing, that you're going to want to keep an eye on. If you want to play with the boys in Vegas later on tonight with the preseason, I do like playing preseason football. Some don't, but I do. You just got to do your research, and we did most of it, or at least some of it for you. Got some college more football over-unders. We went through about 35 or so teams yesterday, grabbed another 30 or so today. Had some interesting bets, so we'll go over those. We'll recap the ones that we kind of looked at yesterday a little bit. Some more college football news. Unbelievable college, not unbelievable, but, a dopey college football story containing one of my favorite players, believe it or not. More WNBA news. What would be the day without a WNBA news report? We got to do that. Brandon Steiner will join us. Little sports memorabilia. Big guy here in the New York, New Jersey area. Covers all the Yankees and Mets stuff and all the local teams. Really one of the bigger guys here on the Long Island or East Coast anyway area. He'll hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, join us at 2:30 and go over some things with him. And then we got the little WNBA talk with Nick Hamaty, ZoneCoverage.com in about an hour or so. So we'll start with, like I said, a little baseball yesterday. Red Sox lose again. Fifth straight loss. That match, as bad as they were, as awful and really just as disappointing as they were the first month and a half, 2 months, whatever it was of the regular season, first 50, 60 games, this 5-game losing streak matches their worst streak. As bad as they were, they didn't lose 6 in a row in April or in May, but they have now. And I said this after Monday's, really before Monday's game, after Sunday's game, when they lost 2 games at home to the A's, the stinking worst team this side of really Colorado and the LA Angels. And even that's debatable. The A's went into Fenway Park and won 2 out of the 3. It was out of all the series, that's the one that made just absolutely no sense. But if this season goes as it's going right now, but boy, no doubt about it. When you look back on things, that's going to be the one. You're going to circle it all flipped right there somehow, some way. They beat the A's, 13-1 Friday night. They were 30-3, something goofy like that. The A's were 7-30, something dopey like that. And then the A's ended up winning the 2 next games. Red Sox played crap. They didn't know, the base pass mistakes, the mental mistakes, all the other physical mistakes, the errors, not hitting behind runners, not getting clutch hits. It all just flipped. And I said that on Monday. I said I wasn't worried about the 2 games. It was the way they played. Said the same thing after Monday night's game, when they didn't remember how many outs there were and everything else, and Tuesday night's game, and then last night as well. Same exact thing, Just guys got a fly ball pop up to the first baseman, William Contreras. Makes the catch, innings over. Instead, he drops the ball. Next, the guy that's batting gets another, basically in essence at bat. He gets an RBI single, and the floodgates open up from there. That's stupid. Just, what are you going to do? You talk, even afterwards, he's like, well, I wish he would have taken a little more responsibility. He's been terrific for the Red Sox this year, right? But, his attitude was, well, it's not my first mistake. It won't be my last. It is what it is. Which, yes, that's true, but, take a little more accountability about how, listen, guy, the inning would have been over. You allowed a run to score. It wasn't just a pop-up that, oh, no big deal. A run ended up scoring with that batter because you missed a pop-up. Give me a little more, I feel bad. I got to concentrate better or whatever the case may be. But it's that stupid stuff that's happening to this Red Sox team over and over and over. It is amazing how things just flip, right? And you can see it as light as day. You really can. A lot of times, team will do well or team will do poorly, and then it'll flip, and then the team will do the opposite of that. But it takes about 2-3 weeks, and then you look back and say, man, this team was playing so good. Now they're playing so bad, or vice versa. And then you look at the schedule and say, yeah, this is where it all flipped right here, right? But you generally have to look back. With this Red Sox team, you didn't have to look back. You saw it. It took 2 days, 2 games against the worst team in baseball, baby, the A's, to make you realize things are not normal with this Red Sox team. So I'm going to, and I don't know how the boys in Vegas have made them a favorite tonight. This is where betting baseball is easy. I know a lot of people think it's hard, and it can be hard, like anything else in life. It can be hard if you make it hard. If you look at the schedule today, right? Case in point, you look at the schedule today and you say, Hall of Fame game, or not a Hall of Fame game, but the outdoors game that's going to be in Iowa, the Field of Dreams game, right? Philadelphia, Minnesota. I guess there is an angle because it's Aaron Nola and he sucks, so that's probably not a good example. But a game like Pittsburgh and Miami, who knows? Detroit and Cleveland, I don't know. Who knows? It's 2 evenly matched teams going up against each other. If you try and pick winners of those games, those type of games, then baseball's impossible. It's impossible. You got to know, you got to pick your spots. You got to find these teams that are red hot, play them. Find these teams that are ice cold, play them. Find these teams that can't score any runs, play the unders. Find the teams that are giving up a ton of runs, play the overs. And when you have as many games as you have, you may go through a period where you don't have those solid trends. That's when you got to learn to just stay away. All right, you know what? 2-3 days from now, tops, there's going to be brand new series and there's going to be brand new angles. So if you have any kind of, due diligence in gambling, and if you have the willpower to not gamble every single night, picking baseball games can be pretty easy, or at least easier than what people say. But like I said, if you pick those dopey series that, who knows, that are just toss-ups, you'll never survive. Just never survive. So point being, Red Sox playing lousy right now. This is when you hop on board. This is when you start betting against them. I know Max Scherzer's on the hill, but he's actually pitched 2 decent games since coming off the disabled list. So you want to make the Blue Jays, who are playing terrific, 10-3 their last 13 games now. Very, very, very much. We gave you this on Monday about how you could play them at close to 8-1, whatever they were, to make the playoffs. They're right there now. I'll take plus 140 or 130. This is where the boys in Vegas are slow, at the wheel. You think, oh, they don't miss a beat, right? But believe you me, they do sometimes. And this is one example. The Red Sox should not be road favorites over anybody right now, the way they're playing. They're not hitting. 1 for 21 with runners in scoring base. They got 11 runs over their last 5 games. You're going to make them now a road favorite with Peyton Tolley on the hill. Pretty good pitcher, but nothing special. So, we're getting to that point where, you look at the standings and, okay, they're 10 back now, the AL East. That's not happening. There was a point there we thought it might. They still have a 4.5 game lead, but it is dwindling. It's getting smaller and you're getting more and more teams. The Blue Jays, an hour and a half ago, were like 5-6 games out. Now they're only a game and a half back. If you bought that ticket at 8-1, whatever it was, 850, I'll double check here. Well, you're a game and a half back. You're right there. There are now 6 teams within 2 games of the last wild card spot. 7 within 4. That's not bad. I mean, outside of Kansas City, the A's and the Angels, who are 11.5, 13, and 13 out, they're done. But even dopey Seattle, 9 games under 500 Seattle, but he lost again yesterday, are still right there at 4 back if they ever could turn things around. Now, they've lost 6 in a row, and it doesn't appear they are, but you never know, right? This is going to go right down to the wire. I just wonder, you think about the teams that are involved in this wild card race, right? Boston, boy, you got the Patriots. As big as the Red Sox are, and they're as big can be, they're not bigger than the Patriots. You got the Texas Rangers. As big as the Rangers might be, and they're not in the same class as the Red Sox, they're certainly not bigger than the Dallas Cowgirls. You got the Minnesota Twinkies. They're not bigger than all the stuff that's going on with the Vikings and Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. They'll take a backseat. The Detroit Tigers, not bigger than the Detroit Lions. Cleveland Guardians, that might be the one that, as bad as the Cleveland Browns are, but it's the start of the season in the NFL. Everybody thinks they got a Super Bowl championship team. What the Patriots did last year is going to give all these fan bases hope for the next 10 years. Oh, Patriots went from 3 wins to the Super Bowl. Literally, we could do the same thing. So I just wonder, Baltimore, the Ravens clearly are bigger than the Orioles are. Toronto would be the only one because it's only the CFL. But all these other teams are all going to get overshadowed. And if they were playing great baseball, it might be a different story, but they're not. In Texas, Minnesota, Detroit, Cleveland, Toronto, Baltimore, Seattle, they're all under 500. It's just mediocre baseball. And I think the fan bases in those cities are just ready to whatever. You know what? If it hasn't happened by now, give me the Vikings. Give me the Lions. Give me the Dallas Cowgirls. Give me the Ravens. So as fun as it might be now, I think it's going to pale in comparison to what happens when college football and especially the NFL start. But we got a full month for that, with the NFL season not starting until September 13th. But so hopefully the baseball can make its do, and we can all kind of watch and follow it and have some fun with this stuff. So we do have preseason football. We'll get to the games, and I'll let you know. I did a little research, looked it up on who's playing, who's not playing, but a couple of things off the field. First up, this is just typical NFL. This is why I brought up the Tony Romo story yesterday, because I knew it was, whether it took a day or a week or a month, I knew there was going to be a story where I could tie it back into CBS saying that they're worried about their image and the shield, and we don't want to take away from the game by having, attention being put to our broadcasters. Well, what are you paying to do 10, 15, literally millions of dollars if you don't want people to pay attention to your broadcasters? That's in essence what they were saying, right? But I knew. And this next story just proves, who cares about Tony Romo getting a DWI? He may be innocent. Who knows? He acted a little goofy, but he is goofy, right? I'm not going to take him off the broadcast because of that. Instead, you got this nitwit mental midget, Terrion Arnold, a number one draft choice by the Detroit Lions 2 years ago, not on the Lions. How come? They cut him back in late June. Why is that? Lions stupid? No, they tried to do the right thing. Guy's facing life in jail. Now, I don't think he's really going to get that, but who knows? He's facing, though, life in jail if he gets convicted of kidnapping charges and all these other goofy things, felony armed robbery. 4, not 1, not 2, not 3. How about 4 counts of felony armed robbery and kidnapping when he was arrested in late June? He's facing life in jail. Who wants him? He's a mental midget, right? Lions tried to do the right thing. They tried. But what's the point? Why bother? Because you know what? This bird brain has gotten interviews with the New York Giants, who are the latest team, according to the Scholes report. I don't know who that is, but give him credit. He wrote it. This after Arnold then or beforehand was in Seattle to visit the Seagulls on Sunday. Tuesday was in New Orleans to visit the Saints. He previously visited the Houston Texans, and he also had interest from the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Jets. There's 6-7 teams. This guy's facing life in jail for kidnapping, telling his buddies supposedly to go, hold these couple people that he thought had some memorabilia stuff. I mean, it's just, do they care? No. But then they're worried about Tony Romo, who, 3 months before the season begins, did something stupid. I'm not, like I said, condoning that. But he's not going to maybe be able to make his $15 million because that's no good. But I got a guy who's facing life in jail, and every team in the NFL is trying to sign him because the Detroit Lions let him go. That's the NFL. That is the NFL, and it is what they just don't care. They just don't care. Every team has its plus and minuses, and the NFL, among their pluses, nobody gives a rat's behind about steroids. You could have the greatest players in the history of mankind. If you don't think Lawrence Taylor was doing stuff when he was playing football, you're kidding yourself. All these steroids, who cares, right? Steroids and baseball, oh my God, you're the villain. And I'm in that camp. And you're Roger Clemens, villain. And Alex Rodriguez, devil. I get that. So the baseball has that, deficiency, if you will. NFL gets away with that. Baseball, you're a criminal, kicked out of the league. NBA, kicked out of the league. Hockey, who knows? NFL, though, whatever. Kidnapping, who cares? Killed people, who cares? Give them a second chance. It was an accident. Run people over in an accident and then run away, who cares? We're the Kansas City Chiefs. We care about winning. We don't care about that other stuff. I mean, it's just the NFL can get away with anything they want, and teams will still, except for domestic violence. That's the only thing that, really knock people out of the league. That's really, but anything else, murder even. Even that has allowed people back in the NFL, or at least, killing people, running them over with the Cleveland Browns wide receiver. So here you got this mental midget that I wouldn't, forget about babysitting my kids. I wouldn't want to live in the same neighborhood with this guy. And here are the Giants, the Texans, the Colts, the Jets, the Saints, the Seagirls, the world champs even. You would think maybe some of those other teams, all right, then, they're willing to do whatever it takes to be champions, right? But Seattle doesn't need to go down that road. Take the higher road. Even they are interested in this guy. And they're the poor Lions, right? The dopey Lions who've never been to a Super Bowl, let alone win one. They're trying to do the right thing by saying, no, we don't want this mental midget on our team. No thanks. Don't need that headache. Let's show him. Let's show the league. Let's show all the other players you can't act like a moron and still play in the NFL. Just can't do it. So they cut him, and everyone's now, calling up, trying to get them to sign. I don't know why he's not signed with the team. If he's visiting all these players, generally speaking, you visit a team, you get signed. Maybe they're all, I guess they're all just bringing him in, saying, hey, listen, we like you. Here, what's your side of the story? We're willing to sign you. Here's how much we're willing to give you, but you got to get your name cleared first. We don't want to sign a guy who's facing, life in prison. What kind of a look is that for us? So I guess that's what's happening. You don't want to sign the dude and then not really know. But I tell you what, if there was one team, whichever team it was, if there was one team that said, I'll give you $1 million right now, you know what? I buy your story. I believe you're innocent. And I'm willing to roll the dice. I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you a $5 million contract, $10 million contract, $1 million guaranteed right now. You signed with us. He'd sign, So fortunately, these teams apparently aren't offering that, but it's probably only a matter of time. It really is. So that's the NFL. It is what it is, right? They just accept it, unfortunately. But they got all the, oh my God, you can't do this, you can't do that, and with Tony Romo. How about the Indiana Bears? Is it possible? Is it, probably not. But it is possible that they're going to be playing in Indiana. So they've had this, which is amazing, because when I was in Chicago working at Sporting News, that was, I can't believe it, that was 25 years ago, right? I was a kid, young kid. And they had just built the new stadium. So in my mind, it's like they just built a stadium. But that was, maybe not 25, but that was 20 years ago anyway. So that's the shelf life of these stadiums. I mean, they spend millions and millions of dollars on this ugly looking really stadium, right? And 20 years later, it's outdated. They need a new one. I mean, how bad could you have built your stadium that 20 years later? I mean, not a whole lot really has changed. I mean, all the luxuries that we have now, they were all there back then. So whatever, I'm not living there now, so I don't know all the intricacies of it all, but they need a new stadium. The people in Chicago don't want to spend the money, which I find amazing. Now there's the nearby Indiana. They say, come to us, as we've seen other states do. We're living it here in New York and New Jersey. The Giants and Jets both, they don't play in New York. Hell, they don't even practice in New York. Their training facilities aren't in New York. It's all in New Jersey, which is why I'm saying I'm going to bring up a point about it's never going to be Indiana Bears. It just isn't. Why? It's like buying a new car, where the perception is the moment you drive it off the lot, it's worth less, which it really isn't. Oh, by the way, go to CarMax, you'll get every penny. You will. As I tried to explain this to people, it's worth the same. You might not get your money back, the same amount you paid, but it's worth the same. How's that possible? Well, you're not incorporating the taxes. You spend $30,000, we'll say, on a car here in New York, you're spending another $3,000 in taxes. Then you add all those goofy insured policies that you have to buy. You're spending an extra, $5,000 easily on that car. It's still a $30,000. When you drive it off the lot, it's still a $30,000 car. You'll still get $30,000 for that car. You just won't get the $5,000 in taxes and all the other crap that you had to buy. So anyway, I digress. So why, the people in Indiana, I don't doubt they'll entice them to play. I don't really, with everything, who knows, right? We saw the Cleveland Browns at the middle of the night, drive to Baltimore. Anything crazy can happen. Or actually, it was the Baltimore Colts driving to Indianapolis, the other way around. Anything can happen. But seeing the Bears not in Chicago would be kind of weird. But you don't buy something and then change the name, because the name is everything in the NFL. Like, if you entice the Bears to come to Indiana and you name them the Indiana Bears, well, one, the NFL would just say, all right, we're just going to put a team in Chicago. You're spending $1 gazillion on the Chicago Bears. You're not spending $1 gazillion on the Indiana Bears. Nobody cares about the Indiana Bears. They care about the Chicago Bears. So there was a report, on Twitter, which, again, you could put anything out there, saying that a deal is expected to get finalized today. And Indiana wants the name changed to Indiana, which is just, their governor has explicitly said that, no, they don't want to change the name. It remains the Chicago Bears if you play football here in Indiana. And same thing from the mayor, who said that, any deal is not going to get done before September. So, you can put anything out there, but I'll bring it up because it is with the Indiana Bears. That would be weird. But again, you wouldn't do that because the Chicago Bears are worth $15 billion. The Indiana Bears are worth $5 billion. So you're paying $15 billion for the Chicago Bears to turn it into a $5 billion operation? No, you wouldn't do that. Just like the Jets and Giants. And I'm from New Jersey. There's no reason in the world why they shouldn't be called the New Jersey or Giants or New Jersey Jets, right? New Jersey Jets has a little ring to it. But the NFL stepped in. CBS stepped in, Fox and NBC and all the other networks that televise football games stepped in and said, no. We don't want to promote New Jersey Jets. Sorry. We want to promote New York Jets and New York Giants. You got to keep that New York logo there. And that's what they would do with the Chicago Bears. But I don't know what you do. I've flip-flopped on this. I really have, as far as whether teams and cities rather should pony up the money. I end up siding more on that there should be a compromise. I don't think a city should pay for the entire stadium, but if it means keeping the team that's going to bring you that much money and prestige and everything into your city, then you got 5 million people that live in your city. You spread this over 30 years. You're talking about adding another $10 on your bill, on your state bill. You don't see it. You really don't. So, all right, quick little break. Hour number 1, we are underway. I think we got the Brandon Steiner coming up. Little sports memorabilia. I thought I found another card that I saw on the internet last night was worth thousands and thousands of dollars, but I ended up probably not having that card. But I got a couple of others, and then I got this great piece I've been holding that I want to see that nobody has. It's got to be worth something, right? We'll talk to Brandon Steiner Sports about that when we come back on the other side.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there. Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream, fanstreamsports.com.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tom's Town, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tom's Town, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go!
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
And welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on a Thursday afternoon. Yours truly sitting in for another hour and a half or so. Got plenty of texts, emails, and some YouTube chat we will get to. First up, though, our first guest of the afternoon, good buddy of ours, used to come on our shows when I was over on the three-letter network. Mr. Brandon Steiner, SteinerSports.com is his home. He knows memorabilia like it's nobody's business. That is for sure. Hey, Brandon, what's going on? Long time no see. How are you, bud?
Everything's amazing except for one thing. New company. No more Steiner.
Oh, what are you now? What are you doing?
Collectible exchange. It's a little bit more of a marketplace. We probably have about 10 times the amount of stuff on our site on collectible exchange that we did at Steiner. I left Steiner 7 years ago. So it's kind of got folded in on the Fanatics. And now collectible exchanges, it's popping. It's popping.
So when I'm Steiner Sports, someone's running that. Then that's not you then?
No, it's not really. It's just part of Fanatics. They just folded it in. It's not really anything like what it was. It's completely different. And collectible exchange is a little bit different because it's a marketplace where if you have stuff you want to sell, we vault it and we help you sell it. And we have hundreds of thousands of items and millions of cards. I mean, it's quite big. A lot of people have a lot of stuff, and they have a lot of stuff to sell, and they don't know what to do with it, and I help them.
All right, that's right up our alley. So I'll start with that then, Brent. I told you about this before.
Yes, sir.
I don't have it in front of me, but for the viewers, there's this thing called ticker tape, right? In the old days, they used to have the UPI AP machine, that would spit out the news. So I was at
I still have one in my sports room at home.
Do you? Oh, good for you. That's got to be priceless, just having one of those.
Because back in the day, in order to follow all the sports, 40 years in the business, there's no way to follow that. There's no computer, no email, you have to call sports phone, right? To get So I would have the ticker tape, and then I have like 5 TVs I'm trying to watch and just try to catch up if my players did well, and if the teams I was rooting for won.
All right. So and for people that don't, that's what it looks like. There's the news comes over the little wire there, and you rip it off, and then you take it to the newsman, right? So for whatever reason, when I was younger, I used to work at FAN, and I would go to a ton of Yankee games and different things working for FAN and in 10-10 wins here in New York, right? And I don't know what made me ever do it, but even thinking back then when I was a kid, Brandon, that, this this is different. No one has this, Scott. I said, everyone's got cards and pictures and autographs. So long story short, I have a bunch of these things. I got the OJ chase, which I didn't even realize I had. And now, unfortunately, I don't know how you want to describe it, but he's dead. He couldn't autograph it, but that would have been like something different. But I have the one that I thought you might be interested in most is when Jim Abbott threw his no-hitter. I was at the game. I was going for Susan. Yeah, Susan, right? So generally around the ninth inning or so, they would send us down, get the interviews and everything else, and don't deal with after the game. It's too crazy. So there was the ticker tape machine, and I ripped off like the final outs. And we go 1 out away for Jim Abbott no-hitter, and Bolton, 2 outs away. And then finally Bolton, Jim Abbott throws a no-hitter. So if you with your connections with Jim, I'm sure you know him somewhere along the line, right?
The first collectible I ever got, my son, who's 35 now, but the first collectible I got was a ball signed by Jim, said you could do anything. So and I put it right on his desk. He was like 1, 2 years old. And
really?
I'm like, because
wow.
every time he came in and gave me some bullshit story about how he couldn't do something, I was like, this guy pitched a no-hit in the hand. What are you telling me you can't do? But good relationship with Jim, and I think we got to get that autograph with a picture of the no-hitter.
Right. So what do you think that if we got him to sign it, what do you, maybe he would want it. Who knows? He's probably this would be something goofy that, but what do you think we could get for that? Him signing that ticker.
I gotta see what that looks like. I mean, I'm trying to picture it. It kind of did show me a little bit at the beginning of the show. I think it's probably a few $100, $300, $400, $500 maybe if he signs it the right way. And then you got your story behind it. It's kind of a one of one. It's kind of cool.
Not thousands though. I'm thinking maybe 5,000. No,
not this particular situation. Not with Jim Abbott, but obviously, if you had like Derek Jeter's first game, that ticker tape stuff, where that may go a little bit more. But Jim's a big name. It's an important no hitter, but it's not this. It's not the cachet, and that's the thing that people realize with collectibles, the money does travel with the superstars.
Right. How about here in the New York area? I got the. People remember always the Knicks playing when the OJ thing went down, but that was the year the Rangers won the Cup too. I got the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup, beating Vancouver 3-2. Final, 5 minutes left. How about that one?
I like that one, and I'm going to be. I was just talking to Mark the other day. And Mark's going to be up doing my Whatnot show. I do a Whatnot show where we sell stuff, and he has a new Game 7 apparel line. We're going to be doing a whole show around his Game 7 thing on my Whatnot show, and I would send that to me. I get that autographed. Right. And then I would put that with a picture of him holding up the cup. Yeah. And that may have some value. That I have to go see how that feels before I just throw your price at you. But it'd be worth more than the Jim Abbott.
Yeah.
And plus, you should enjoy that. Like frame that up.
Yeah.
Mark. This way, when your grandkids come in and friends, you talk about where you were on that June. I think it was June 17th. That beautiful day. It was one of my favorite sporting events of all time. I mean, I've been in thousands of games, as I'm sure you have. But there's nothing like the Game 7 against the Devils and nothing against the Game 7 against Vancouver. You can hear a pin drop in between periods. We were so nervous. We think that curse. We thought we were doomed. And then we ended up winning. And I know that stuff's crazy, but, when you root for a team for 20, 30, 40 years and you've seen some of the craziest things happen, that guard in between the overtime and period 3 against the Devils when Mateau scored the goal,
right?
I mean, you could hear a pin drop. We all were just flipped out because we had thought we won that game. And even on the 3-2 game, that series was close.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tight.
Remember, they thought they were going to win in 5, and I remember Howie Rose, big Ranger fan, talking about, not necessarily like him, but everyone really in general, but talking about the victory parade and where it was going to be, when it was going to be, and I'm telling my friends, man, once you start planning victory parades when they were up 3-1, it's like, man, I'm telling you, they might lose this thing, and or at least Game 5, and sure enough, they did. Then they lost Game 6, but then they were able to win Game 7. So
yeah, that was an amazing series. I'm hoping the Rangers can make their way back. It's just so hard. One of the things I want to mention, tell me what you think, but I don't know if people realize how hard it is to win in today's sports. There is no edge. There's no angle. There's no overspend. Everybody's got money. Everybody's competing. Everybody's got a cool stadium. I mean, it's really hard to win. So if you're going to the ballpark with such high expectations your team going to win or you're going to be miserable, then you should find something else to do because more than likely your team's not going to win. But if you can enjoy the day-to-day like you did when you were 10, that your favorite player did well or your team played really well. You have to find the enjoyment in sports that way. When you get into the Derek Jeter mindset, if you don't win a World Series, it's a bust. You're just going to be miserable because there's no shortcut to winning championships in any of these sports. So many things have to go right, and that's what's disappointing now. I've seen sports evolve and it's on higher stakes. I think people's expectations are too high. Enjoy the young kid that's coming up. Enjoy the team that's playing hard that may not be championship caliber, but they're growing. Learn to enjoy the different aspects, and then stop collecting for money. The gambling aspect, oh God, I see kids, they keep thinking they get this $1 million card. I'm so disappointed that we've allowed this to escalate where kids are gambling at 12 years old, thinking they get some $1 million card when they can just go buy a lottery ticket and the odds are almost similar. So, enjoy the cards, enjoy the collectibles, enjoy the moments. That's what collecting is all about. And it's gotten a little out of hand on the gambling and on the money part, as opposed to, collecting for the fun of it.
What do you think of the Cooper Flag card that they found in that hole?
I'm not. I don't understand that card has that value.
Me neither.
I just don't get it. And I get it. And I've created a lot of this over the last 40 years that people know me and have followed me. But when I see these cards like Mr. Wonderful spending this money on that card, the 15, I just don't understand it. And I know it's a bait and switch. I know it's getting you lured into thinking that maybe you're going to find that $15 million card. And guess what? News flash. You ain't getting it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And yet I see people blowing thousands and thousands of dollars thinking that they are. And I don't like that. I like to, when you don't know the odds, like no one would go buy Apple stock if we didn't know the income statement, the balance sheet, and understand the company. We have no idea the accountability of these cards, like how many good cards they're putting in there, how many cards they're printing. You really have no idea what you're even buying. And that's what I think it's going to get to this level. There needs to be some regulation and some transparency about what the hell it is these companies are printing, because now it's like it's the wild, wild west. Yeah. And I don't like it because when the people wake up one day, Scott, they realize they've been ripped off, the business will shrink back down. And it's such a blessing to have this business grown. I've been in it 40 years, and it's a blessing to see the business grow and people enjoying it. But then some of them are enjoying it for the wrong reasons. And then there's some real sharks in there taking advantage because they're good master marketers and people just don't know better.
Is it fair to say, because I was going through some of my cards, right? Is it fair to say in general, I know there are probably exceptions, but unless it's a rookie card of a player from back in the 70s or 80s or even 90s, it's probably, maybe not worthless, but not worth thousands. It's got to be a rookie card, right? I mean,
the rookie cards help, but there are a lot of exceptional cards, especially Jordan. And I think LeBron cards, back, even though it's not a rookie, will be worth something down the road. Because when players retire, they can't print those cards anymore in some cases. Yeah. I think cards pre-1980, if you have sets from the 70s, particularly the 60s and before, those have a lot of value. And usually you can find some value, and it's quirky. And that's when people come to me and we could go do the research and see what's what. But unfortunately, a lot of people have cards in the late 80s and 90s, and those that you have to consume more than likely may not be worth much. Yeah. But cards from the early 80s, 70s, 60s, those are still rare, and there are a lot of people looking for cards to complete their sets.
How about this? I got to find it, Brandon. I think it's a card. It might be a photo, but it's of LeBron and about, I want to say 8 or 9 other kids coming out of high school, and he's in his high school uniform, and it's like a futures card, but it's more like the size of like a photo. I don't know if that's just been produced a gazillion times or it's actually a card, but maybe something like that might be worth something.
Could be. That's the thing. Like in our company at Collectible Exchange, we have a service where you can text and email that in, and we'll give you an idea what the value is, which has been very helpful for collectors that have stuff, which most collectors have stuff, don't know what it's worth. So you're not that special, Scott. Everybody's got stuff.
My wife's been telling me that for years, right?
But the good news is that you saved it. It's important. You're a saver. So, and you never know, like that could be a rare card. So I would text that to me, and I'll give you an answer probably in about 15 minutes.
All right. Now, how do if people watching and listening, want to do that? How do they go to Collectibles Exchange and what's the process of getting
Well,
something
first of
that
all, I'm
they
going to
own?
say this. I'm going to give you my. This is an email I do for a show like this. If you go to
Okay.
Brandon Steiner 1981 at
Okay.
gmail.com, if you
Yep.
pick out one of my 4 books that I've written, which you go on Collectible Exchange, you'll see the books. Pick anyone, I'll send it to you for free. No shipping, no charge. So, I've written 4 books, 3 of them pretty much about business, entrepreneurism, sales. So I'm happy to send you one for free. But also a good way to communicate with me is email me if you have a collection or a question about something. Just email me, Brandon Steiner 1981 at Gmail. And then if you can, send a photo or a list of some of the things you're asking, and I'll get back to you. And I have a couple people that work right alongside, and that's what they're doing a good amount of the day is answering these questions.
All right, cool. Do appreciate it. There you go. Brandon Steiner, 1981 at gmail.com. What is hot nowadays? Is it the Cooper Flag stuff, the more recent stuff? Or what's like the hot stuff going on these days?
I hate to say this, but like everything, I've never seen the
Yeah.
business like,
It has
you know,
picked up, right? I mean, because it was dead for a long time, Brandon. But
it
I
was
do get the
flat.
sense it's
It
coming
was
back.
flat. The
Yeah.
business wasn't dead, but it was flat. I mean, the virus, and then since then, there's just a lot more people into it. People are a little bored with their money. They're buying stuff that they feel is rare. Basketball has definitely picked up. Baseball is always still the number one thing, but collecting's never been hotter. And the one thing I would say is, thank you. I'm so grateful for people out there that are buying into this category and enjoying this stuff. I hope they were buying it to enjoy it. I
Right.
create a lot of these products over the last years is so that people can enjoy these favorite moments. After your wedding, kids are born. There's that favorite moment. We were just talking about Game 7. It's my favorite moment. I just took down Highmark Stadium, the Buffalo Bills Stadium.
Right.
Scott, I've never seen a fan base like this. And I
They're
know about the
upset, man.
Rangers. I know about the Yankee fans and blah, blah, blah. The Bills Mafia is
It's
nobody to be
crazy.
messing with. Oh, yeah, they're on a level unto themselves. And I know Yankee fans are not going to like me say that, but they are the number one fan base I've ever ran into. They're
Wow.
just been unbelievable. So that was hot. The new stadium and then taking down the old stadium has been phenomenal. And I really think the women's sports is still not there yet. People are not really collecting like I was hoping they would.
Not
But
even Caitlin?
I
Not even
think in the
Caitlin Clark?
future, I was in the Bahamas. I got to meet her. Um, just hanging out at some hotel, and at first I looked at it. I was going to say, you look a little bit like Caitlin Clark, but so then, I got to say hello to her. I just think the women right now. I know there's a lot of turmoil going on with some different things, politically speaking. I think the women need to chill and really understand. My memo, if I were the commissioner, would be like, Caitlin Clark is the show. Back off, give her the respect. Everybody's going to get some. Caitlin Clark is the show. And also, I think there needs to be some more discipline and more communication about how the women need to communicate on their social and in the media because it's not doing well. And it reminds me of David Stern, what he did in the 90s when Barkley and Dennis Rodman were getting crazy and a few other players. And he talked about the dress code, how to act, things you say, in the press. And he came down hard, but he told them, if you guys listen and you obey and fall in the line, you're going to make a lot of money. And they did.
Yeah.
And I think the women are in the same position now. You need leadership in that league. And unfortunately, I'm not sure that the commissioner that is in place, who's done a great job with TV and certain aspects of the league, I'm not sure this is her PR part of it all, and this part is her thing. But there's a
Yeah.
big opportunity with women from a collectability standpoint, sponsorship standpoint, particularly in soccer and basketball. But who knows? Maybe the softball and the baseball league come around too.
Yeah. You're right about that as far as the commissioner. She's as bad and overmatched. I think she was good, Brandon, to bring it to a certain point, and then okay, you know what? Nice job. Now we're going to take the baton and we're going to hire someone that really knows what they're doing and discipline and get the women to buy in. Because you're right, they all just realized, they're all going to benefit. All of them are going to benefit with the bigger contracts and everything. That maybe there wouldn't be so much jealousy and everything.
Jordan was the
Clark.
show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Understand, Gretzky was the show. You don't mess with the show. You're not going to get what they get. There's a reason why the seats all filled up. And there are great players in the WNBA. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan. There's 10 players that I love that are incredible players. But the reason why the seats are filled and the reason why every night there's a WNBA game on TV is because of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
So that message needs to be clear, and everybody needs to just back off. But on the other hand, players like Sophie Cunningham and some other players, they need to be toned down a little bit because they're instigating and they're acting a little bit inappropriately. You can have some swagger, you can trash talk, but everybody's got to get on the same page. And right now they're not. This commissioner did a great job on a whole bunch of levels, but the David Stearns and Adam Silvers are a diamond in the rough. And it's not easy to find commissioners like them, and that's why the NBA is where they are. Hopefully now Adam can slide over and add that dimension, which he does like no one else, as far as how the optics and how the brand looks and how it's going to feel, and get around to these women and sell them in on what needs to happen and how they need to act appropriately in the media and on their social media.
Brandon, great job. Collectibles Exchange is the website. You want to have him evaluate something, one of his folks, Brandon Steiner, 1981 at gmail.com. That's Brandon Steiner, 1981.
Good catching up, man. It's good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely, Brad. You too, man. I hope things are going well, you and your family.
Yes,
and we'll
amazing.
Cool. Right.
Keep up the good work, man. Good to see you still on the air, man. I got to now start listening. I'm adding to your audience starting tomorrow.
There you go. I appreciate that, Brandon. I do appreciate
Take care.
it. Building. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Brandon Steiner at collectiblesexchange.com. I haven't spoken to him, obviously, in a number of years. We used to work together over at the Three Letter Network. So, met a really nice guy, super nice, friendly guy. Used to have Steiner Sports. That's why I figured it was still his, because there is a Steiner Sports, but I guess he sold that to Fanatics. Now it's Collectibles Exchange, which is pretty cool. He gave out his website, or his email address, rather. I wasn't sure if he was giving that to me or if he was giving it to you guys, but he was giving it to everyone. So if you have something that you think, and we all do, right? I got a gazillion things. I really, my kids aren't really into baseball that much. They like basketball. They like football. Hockey a little bit, right? But I was always bigger in baseball, so I got a lot of baseball stuff that, it's kind of, for me, it's like, what am I doing now? I'm holding on to it forever. If they're not interested in it, I guess I could wait for them to have kids. But if some of this stuff that I have is worth something, if I can get, I don't know, I got so much stuff. But Brandon Steiner, 1981 at gmail.com, send him a picture of your stuff and see, if he says you can get, $400, $500, I don't know what his split is. I don't know. Obviously they're going to get some cut of it. Maybe make yourself a couple of dollars. So collectiblesexchange.com is his website. Like I said, good guy, a real nice guy. I got a couple minutes here before the top of the hour. What else were we going to talk about? NFL. Couple things here I saw where the Tennessee Titans, we'll get into the starters, we'll hold off on the starter. We'll do that next hour on who's playing, who's not playing. Talked about the Chicago/Indiana. I should have asked him about that because he's a big football fan, but I just can't believe that would actually ever happen. That would be beyond just weird. But having the Bears not be in Chicago, it'll always be the Chicago Bears, but man, that would be just like crazy, crazy, crazy. So college football, you see this story? First off, he was, I like him. I think he's terrific. I really do. Jaden Daniels, Washington Redskin Potato Commanders, right? So started his collegiate career at Arizona State, was there 3 years and then transferred and played 2 years at LSU. Never won a national championship. That was Joey B that won the national championship. No title game. Had really one great season. I had 2 years there. The first year was just no big deal. Second year, that's when Jaden Daniels turned into Jaden Daniels, right? And so LSU, Lane Kiffin, he's got no ties to Jaden Daniels. What does he care, right? So he gave out uniform number 5, which was Daniels, to some cornerback, DJ Pickett. Who cares, right? So Daniels is all upset about it, saying, "What are you doing? That's me. That's my jersey. That's my number." And now he's telling LSU that it can no longer use his name, likeness, and image for any kind of promotional stuff. Because he was profoundly, his words, disrespected by giving his uniform number out. Are you serious? Really? Really, guy? I mean, again, I like him. I root for him. I think he's terrific. But boy, that's such a bad look. You were there for 2 stinking years. 2 years. You spent more time at Arizona State. The head coach is not even there anymore. The AD is not even there. They're all gone. They got no ties to you. Well, you were there for 2 stinking years. And you think they should all of a sudden retire your uniform number? Which I think is stupid anyway. Who cares? I heard Michael Irvin talk about this, but I've been saying this for years. If it was me, I'd want people to use my uniform because that's the only way people remember me. If you don't put my uniform on, then it's just thrown to the side and like, whatever. You're a forgotten person. But, you could still have, Jaden Daniels number 5 uniform jersey retired, but the number's not. But his jersey, put in the Hall of Fame that they must have or something along those lines. But it's a bad look. Yeah, I mean, and all the good things we've been talking about with him over the last 2 seasons, that's like, I don't know why he would do that. It sounds to me like he was asking for money, and I think he said, all right, you know what? You retire my uniform number and I'll let you use my name and likeness in promotional stuff. That's a fair split, right? You get something out of it. I get something out of it. And then LSU maybe said, okay, sounds good. And then someone forgot about that. They have a new AD, and the new AD came in, new football coach came in and gave out the number 5. It's like, I didn't know about that deal. Sorry. I bet there's more to this than meets the eye. I just don't believe, okay, you gave my uniform number out and now I'm going to screw you. And now I'm going to, pretend you're dead. I would like to think he's not that shallow. I really would. So kind of weird. And then Army gave head coach Jeff Monken a 5-year contract extension. I tell you what, those military coaches, whether it's Army or Navy, I know Air Force the last couple of seasons have struggled a little bit, but for the most part, they've been really solid out of the 3. On the list of returning the letterman, Army, Navy, Air Force is like at the rock bottom. I mean, every single year, they got to bring in new people and they got to turn Army cadets and military men into football play. That's a tough job. And both the Army and Navy head coaches have done a real good job of that over the last few years. I don't know why he wouldn't want to move on. Maybe he just likes that system. Maybe no one would hire him. I think somebody would, even though they're not throwing a football. But he's staying there for Army. Good for Army. Gets a 5-year contract extension. So, all right, quick little break. We'll talk a little WNBA with our good buddy Nick Hamaty, get some winners and some NFL futures from him as well. Hour number 1 in the books, hour number 2, and we'll find out if we're billionaires. That's all coming up on the Scott Wetzel Show.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the JP Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka. Named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show, hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza every Monday through Friday right here on FanStreamSports.com, YouTube as well. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, please. And we're here Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, hour number 2, we'll put the football and all the other stuff aside. Well, actually, we won't put the football aside. Talk a little football, actually, a little WNBA with a good buddy, Nick Hamaty, ZoneCoverage.com, ZoneCoverage.com. Tiny Nick's Giant Pick. We got that right. What's going on, Nick? How are you, bud?
I'm doing well. We got a full slate of WNBA today. We've got NFL coming up. The NBA is back on the horizon after the Wolves trip to Paris. Things are feeling like they're on the up and up over here.
All right, we'll start the WNBA. We got some games later on tonight. We got 3. We got Atlanta and the Sun. We got the Sparks and Liberty, Mystic and Las Vegas Aces, which is probably the marquee matchup, I guess. Little back end of a home and home in which both games were in Las Vegas. So we'll start with 7 o'clock. Yeah. Atlanta and the Connecticut Sun. Maybe the worst team this side of Seattle in the WNBA are the Sun. How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, you're not going to want to hear this one, but I'm going to roll with the Connecticut Sun plus 10.5. I think double digits is too much. I know post All-Star break things are starting to fall apart for some of the bad teams in the W, but I just gotta point this out. The Atlanta Dream are the worst ATS team in the entire WNBA right now at 11-21, including 5-10 ATS on the road. When Atlanta is favored by double digits, they just don't get it done. They're 1-6 ATS. With a 7-point margin to not covering. The Atlanta Dream are a little bit overhyped sometimes, especially as a favorite. I think this is a spot where they do win the game. I think 10.5 is a little bit too much. And Connecticut is 8-3 ATS as a home dog, and they've had 5 days off somehow to rest. So I don't understand some of the WNBA scheduling as well, but I think it's a good spot to look at the Sun to keep it within single digits against an Atlanta Dream team that just wins but doesn't cover.
Yeah, the Fever actually like that too, Nick. I don't know what their ATS numbers are, but I guarantee it's not high. It's not great. And I know the Dream had like an 8 or even 9 maybe against the spread losing streak, earlier. Like 0-9. So it's actually not a bad, and that's why I know that's your really specialty. I know you're not really getting into the off the field stuff. It's more breaking down the nuts and bolts of things. And there are times when you get a better team, against a lousy team, and you think, okay, you got to bet the better team. But, those numbers say Connecticut Sun.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. And we talked about it last week with the WNBA going nuclear with points being scored. I think the day that we talked is the day where it kind of started to take a turn. These totals are high now. They're very, very high. They're high to the point that, games that would have been a no-brainer to go over after nuclear first halves are still going under now because they're needing 90 points to get over in the second half on these crazy totals approaching 190. So, Scott, I'm finally ready to tell you I'm going to take an under in the WNBA today.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a look at the under of the Los Angeles Sparks game. I'm gonna actually zero in on the Sparks team under of 88.5. The reason being they're going up against a Liberty team that has the biggest difference in points allowed from home to away. They're playing this game at home. They've allowed a lot of points to the Sparks already this year, unfortunately, 109 and 98, but that's not going to matter today because they've allowed 13 points per game fewer at home, as I just mentioned. And they're coming off of a super embarrassing loss against Caitlin Clark and the Fever, which we just talked about the Fever being a team that wins but doesn't cover. They did cover in that game, so I expect the Liberty to come out and play better defense than they have against a Sparks team that I know they were scoring early in the season. This roster is not the same as it was. They're starting to kind of, in my opinion, pack it in for the season. I don't think the Sparks get to 90 points. 88.5 is a lot of points for a Sparks team. I'm rolling with the under against a Liberty team that should come out and play some high-effort basketball tonight.
All right, I like that one as well, especially when you come off a game in which you gave up 106 points as they did and you lost. It's kind of like a good little rally the troops moment, where it's just like, guys, we played so bad defensively. We just really got to buckle down. And you tend to take that next game more seriously, right? And that's part of your thinking?
Yeah, exactly. And, while we're kind of on to the WNBA, I'll hit you with one more.
Okay.
I'm taking a peek at Shakira Austin, over 26.5 points and rebounds. You might be wondering why, Scott, but this is the same total as Tuesday's game where she shot 8 for 21 and cleared this number. She's actually cleared her points and rebounds number going 9 and 1 in the last 10 games. She's kind of flying under the radar right now. Yeah, so I said, I know she's going up against an Aces defense where we don't even need to name who's there. That might make it a little bit of a difference. But the Aces, they score enough points that the Mystics should be able to keep up with them in a way that Shakira Austin needs to score in the 20s to keep this game even remotely competitive. She's turned into kind of the Mystics' main piece right now, and they're running their offense straight through her. She's shot over 10 field goal attempts. Before July 1st, since then, shooting 15 field goal attempts per game. She's really taken on a heavier burden on this offense. And I think that they're going to stay competitive, like I said, against an Aces team that should win the game. But I'm not going to look at a cover there, as we mentioned. I think spreads right now are high, and I think totals are a little bit high as well.
Yeah. And just to throw more into that, because I like that play, whether you take the Mystics. I had them the other day getting 6.5, and they lost by 10, but it was a close game, but they ended up losing by 10.
I watched that game.
End. Aces play your Minnesota Lynx Saturday. So this is the look-ahead spot. Like, you can get up for Washington the first game, but knowing you got Minnesota coming up in a couple of days, I could see them really kind of poo-pooing this one tonight.
Yeah, as long as Minnesota doesn't play like they played in the second half last night. That was the worst they've looked in a long, long time after scoring almost 60 points in the first half. They almost lost that game with a 20-point lead. That team is so built with Kayla McBride playing the way that she's playing right now. You got Fee, you got Olivia Miles. They're pretty unstoppable, but Asia Wilson's just Asia Wilson, as we talk about every week. I think if there's a long shot or a longer shot than the Lynx to win it all, it's really just the Aces and the Lynx to me. I know we talked about the Valkyries as well. They have great value, but I do trust the Aces and the Lynx to get it done.
Yeah. 3 monster favorites last night. All 3 won outright, but only 2 covered. Only Golden State, the Valkyries, were the ones that covered. So, How about a little NFL? So I've had more people come on. I've been doing this, since they went to the Super Bowl. Really out of college. I love Joey B. I thought he was going to be just phenomenal. To me, he was just men against boys. I've never seen a quarterback just play as well as he did at LSU. So I wasn't surprised and followed him and rooted for Cincinnati, right? And every year I keep on being betting Cincinnati to get back to the promised land that they never have. And we've had 4 or 5 guys on, Nick, and they've all said the same, like, give me a flyer, Cincinnati. Give me a team that's flying under Cincinnati. So you're kind of doing the same thing, right? Yeah, it seems like everyone's buying into the Cincinnati Joey B bandwagon this year.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the offensive line in Cincinnati, like always. But I heard you talking before the show about Jaden Daniels, or before I came on.
Right.
The difference between Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow won a national championship, so nobody's worn his numbers since. I think that's what's got Jaden in his feelings right now. Still, I don't think it's a conversation that needed to be had this publicly, this early. With he just left college football a couple of years ago. I think it should have been a little bit more of a relaxed subject. But I think Joe Burrow is on another level than Jaden Daniels. I'm a huge fan of Joe Burrow, have been since college. I think he's the best pocket passer in the NFL. If they would just give him an offensive line, it's hard to complain, though, when he has the weapons that he has on the offensive side of the football. That's where all that money's going. But the Bengals are going up against the third easiest schedule by average opponent win total this season. They'll play 10 games against teams where they're going against a defense that was bottom 10 in the league last year. And they also play against a lot of good offenses, which will create the need for Joe Burrow to keep up, not just run the ball all game like so many of these offenses did last year with these high quarterbacks. You started to see these passing totals start to come down last year because the running game picked up a little bit. I think this is Joe Burrow's year. I'm looking at Joe Burrow plus 850 to win the MVP.
All right. That's not bad. He's got to put the numbers up, right? I mean, as long as he stays healthy, which you can say about anybody.
Yeah, it's a big question mark with that offensive line and the way that Joe Burrow's gone down pretty much every year of his NFL career so far.
Yeah, poor guy. So
he's on another level than the guys like Dak Prescott. So if you're going to throw a flyer on somebody, I think Joe Burrow's that guy.
Yeah, this will be like. I say this every year, Nick. I keep on saying this will be my last year betting the Bengals, right? But they keep on giving us decent odds. It's not like they're 5-1 or 6-1. The last time I checked, they were right. Yeah, they're 20-1 , so you're getting good odds on them.
And what's really happening in the rest of that division, Scott? And nobody really has gotten that much better.
Yeah, they've gotten worse in reality. Yeah. Divisions come back to the pack.
Older.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I just don't want him to turn into Dan Marino. As a Dolphin fan, Nick, he went. It's all setting up. Went to the Super Bowl. Dan did his second year. They didn't win, right? Lost to the 49ers, and people thought. I remember, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. You got Duper and Clayton and Marino. Don't worry about it, right? And he never got back, let alone win.
Yeah, so. Peyton Manning was on that track for a while, and unfortunately, our boy Tony Romo retired on that track. I don't need. Yeah. I will throw this one out though, Scott, because there's a team coming out of the NFC, especially the NFC South, that I think is a sleeper.
Okay.
That I think has a lot better of a chance this year. Very similar to what the Patriots did in the AFC last year. Can you take a guess? I'm going to roll with the New Orleans Saints. They've got one of the biggest, home field advantages in the entire NFL. They're coming in at plus 250. And what's going on? We just talked about another division. What's going on in this division that gives you any confidence that anybody's gotten any better? I don't have any confidence in the Falcons. The Panthers were kind of fluky up and down last year. I don't think they're going to get any better this year. And the Baker's Bucks are, they're like a walking 500 every season. So as long as you can get something together here with the New Orleans Saints, I think plus 250 is pretty good value for the Saints.
That's not bad. I believe in them more than I do Carolina. Carolina won the division, but they were 8-9, so they won it by default, right? I don't believe in Bryce Young, whereas I saw enough from Tyler Shuck last year. The last 5 games they ended up winning. What they win 5-1 or 4-1 their last 5 or 6.
Yeah,
they didn't beat any great team. They didn't, but that's okay. They won the games, and I saw enough out of him that makes me think, okay, he can maybe now second year take the next step. Whereas I still got to see
Drake
from Bryce.
May next step. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
yeah. I think the most interesting thing with this team is the Saints are coming in at 40-1 to win the NFC as well. So if you like them to come out of the NFC South, pretty good odds there. And unlike my Cowboys, they're going up against the second easiest schedule in the NFL. Something I've taken in a lot more weight into this year is looking at which quarterbacks are still there from last year, which teams should be pretty similar, and going up against that strength of schedule. The second easiest in the league should be pretty fruitful for a Saints team that, like I said, has a huge home field advantage already.
Yeah, that's not bad. I was looking at that, the NFL, the NFC South. I forget which divisions they're playing. I think it's the AFC South. They got it easily. As bad as they are, they got their games against themselves, and then they got the AFC South and some weaker. Even Atlanta had a pretty easy schedule. That they all did, if memory serves me right. So that's okay. So Joey B, and then the Saints winning the NFC South. And
I got
to go ahead. No, the NFC's got the extra home game. And now they all do, obviously, in NFC South. But, just one more reason to think maybe, things can go the Saints' way this year.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be on brand if we didn't talk about a little bit of Minnesota or Dallas. I'm going to bring up the Cowboys here. The Cowboys are getting screwed by the league pretty bad right now. Their schedule's gotten harder since 2023, and they've actually got the 5th hardest schedule by opponent in the entire league right now. So the Cowboys, although I like to talk about them every single week, I think Vegas has got their number pretty down pretty pat. It's not something I'm going to do. I do think the defense has gotten a lot stronger from the Micah Parsons trade. If you look at everybody that the Cowboys brought in, from that trade, I think that's going to be the biggest difference from last year to this year. But the NFC is up for grabs right now. The NFC East especially. I know everybody's on the Eagles like always, but the Eagles have had some issues. I expect a little bit of a downturn for the Eagles. And then you got the weird teams like the Commanders and the Giants who have young, hopeful guys. But do you really trust them? Do you really trust Jackson Dart? Do you really trust Jaden Daniels after the jersey retirement speech he just put on? I mean, I think if out of those guys, I do trust the Commanders more. But Scott, who's going to win the NFC East? Up until last year, we hadn't seen a back-to-back winner in forever, and you're kind of seeing why right now with the way that these teams fall apart after having so much success so fast.
Yeah, I'm still buying into Philadelphia. You're right. You know, the 20-plus years or whatever it was that they did not have back-to-back, and now I'm asking for a 3-time champ, but everything you said, falls into place. I don't trust Jackson Dart, to stay healthy or do the right thing. Dallas, your Cowboys every single year. I'd like to think Washington, but that's a pretty big leap. We're going to get first-year Jaden Daniels or second-year, Jaden Daniels being hurt. So that's a big step up. So to me, it kind of falls, but, back to Philadelphia. I still think Hurts is I had faith in Jalen Hurts. So.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels reminded me way too much of RG3 last year in that second season. It was tough to watch. I mean, even with the elbow injury, everything before that, the guy was limping around all season long, didn't have the help that he needs. And like I said, I think the NFC East is kind of a toss-up because none of these teams really have the full package. There's been a lot of change in the last few years with coaching throughout the division, general managers, and now we're going to see where all this lands. I think the most consistent thing in the NFC East right now is Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. So if I was going to look at two teams that come out of the NFC East, I would keep it with the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Yeah. Do you play preseason games? And if so, are you playing anything tonight or no?
I'm not playing anything tonight, but I am taking a peek at some of these young quarterbacks that are going to need to show out a little bit in these first halves. I think that's an angle that I'm going to take a look at. And then just also understanding which quarterbacks already have their job and who's not going to play and being able to fade those numbers as well. I think, these teams that play with the, 1 or 2 drives with their starting quarterback and people get a little bit too into those numbers.
Yes, yeah.
That doesn't matter at all. So I will be taking a look at which quarterbacks are expected to play, and I'll be taking a deeper dive into that. I haven't done that research yet. Tonight being the first big games for us.
All right, cool. Nick, great job as always. Where can people find you, and what are they should be looking for?
Yeah, we've got an NFL podcast, Tiny Nick's Giant Picks, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have our futures episode coming up, and we'll be diving right back into that for week 1. And you can find me on Twitter at @TheRealTinyNick. I'll be beefing up the Twitter a little bit here. We're doing daily articles for Zone Coverage as well. We've got those on Twitter, so get your daily picks, get your information, and listen to the podcast. We appreciate it.
Cool. Nick, great job as always, man. We'll do it again soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Scott.
There you go. Nick Hamaty. Check him out again. Tiny Nick's Giant Picks podcast at your favorite podcast places. Tiny Nick's Giant Picks and zonecoverage.com. Speaking of the NFL, we have some of that stuff, and we'll get to YouTube chat, some tweets, and some emails here as well. But we brought up the NFL, so what better time than now? So I got today's games. I'll get tomorrow's, and then Saturdays for tomorrow as well. But got we have 6 games tonight, including Detroit and Cincinnati. And he brought up a great point I was going to bring up. Don't put too much into, okay, my guys are starting. Because what happens is that, maybe they start a drive, maybe 2 drives, maybe they play the whole first quarter. But then, you might be building a 7-0 lead or even a 10-point lead because the starters are in there. But then it all comes back to the pack. Guy says that his starters are starting, that they're, his regular starters are starting. They're not playing the whole game, and they're not playing a half even. It's a quarter at most. So lines get way inflated. And Cincinnati and Detroit's the first one, right? So the Bungles say they're going to have their starters play. Zach Taylor, though, it won't be a ton of time, but for our fans to come out there and see Joe and Jamar and T. Higgins, they're going to see Dexter. So they're going to get a chance to see some of our better players play. But how long I keep them out there remains to be seen. Which means, And the line is up to 7. Now, Detroit said they're not playing everybody, but and this guy says he is. So the line shoots from most preseason games are 3, 3.5, maybe 4, right? But generally 3.5 or less. But because he says his starters are going to play a drive or two, the line shoots up to 7. That shouldn't be a 7-point line. Anything can happen after this. The starters are going to be out there for a drive or two, but they're not going to be, going too crazy. So don't put that much into, okay, these guys are starting and this team is not starting. So anyway, Taylor says his guys will be going at least a drive. I'm expecting maybe 2 drives, depending on how long the first drive goes. Detroit, that apparently is not the case with the Lions. So that's why Cincinnati is 7-point favorite. Green Bay and Pittsburgh tonight. Jordan Love will play for the Packers. Steelers have not said whether Aaron Rodgers will play. I really doubt it. I know it's Green Bay and all that other stuff, but I don't think they want to take the chance with a soon-to-be 43-year-old quarterback in preseason game number 1, right? Not with all the hoopla surrounding this. I don't think so. So, and as far as how long Jordan Love will play, again, same thing. Anybody's guess. So, Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Colts and New England Patriots. Anthony Richardson will play for the Colts tonight. He's going to play he'll start and play the first half. Leonard Riley will play the second half. So no Daniel Jones this preseason. Shane Steichen, head coach, said with his Achilles tendon, he's not going to play. Certainly not the first 2 games anyway. What else do we got for that one? Drake May, not expected to play for the Patriots. But again, here's head coach Mike Vrabel this week saying that I wouldn't anticipate seeing Drake out there, but that's all subject to change. That's kind of what my mindset is right now sitting here today. Kind of like when he makes his vows. I'm not anticipating cheating on my wife, but that's subject to change, But as I sit here now, no, I don't plan on sleeping around. So we know how that went, right? So who knows with Drake May. No reason to, I would think, to play him, but Anthony Richardson will not only play, but play the first half. And then you get Leonard Riley. So you get 2 pretty good quarterbacks. So the Colts are a pretty strong play tonight. Arizona and the Raiders. Cardinals, Arizona will be playing their starters this week. Carson Beck played last week, played well. Jacoby Brissett should figure to play this week and get some, both guys get some reps in. They're going to play, says the head coach, LaFleur. So we'll have our guys out there. Again, how much? It's not going to be much. It could be 1 drive, max 2 for those main guys. So Jeremiah Love figures to play for the first time. The running back out of Notre Dame. He didn't play last week either. And that's what I told you yesterday. I do now you're getting the starters, getting a little bit more playing time, some more reps, whereas the Raiders, I don't know what the Raiders are going to do. Fernando Mendoza is set to make his debut, but he didn't say who's going to be starting. So Kirk Cousins looks like he's going to play some today, and Mendoza as well. So you might get some points in this football game. I got to double check what the over-under is. But know that I think Cardinals are 1 step ahead of the game here just because they played last week. But Mendoza and Cousins are expected to play tonight. Chargers and Houston Texans. No Justin Herbert for the Chargers. Trey Lance and DJ Ukulele will be playing for the Chargers. Those little split time. According to the Texans Wire, no CJ Stroud tonight, but they got Davis Mills. He's pretty good. Graham Mertz, he sucks. But, if Mills plays a half, that's not a bad, this is another game where you might get some points, Chargers in Houston. But no Herbert and no CJ Stroud. The backups will be playing there. And then the last one tonight, Tennessee and San Francisco. Titans plan on playing their starters. 49ers say they won't. Hence, Tennessee, which opened up a 3-point favorite. I saw it as high as 4.5 in some circles. So everyone's betting Tennessee because of that. And it's probably not a bad bet, believe it or not, as hard as it is to lay 3.5, 4.5 with Tennessee on the road, no less. But San Francisco's got so many injuries. Shanahan, including himself. There won't be many starters playing. We'll see with our injuries today and stuff. We got to balance it out. We haven't told the players yet, so we'll wait until we find out and let them know this afternoon. But you're not going to get Mike Evans. You're not going to get Christian McCaffrey. You're not going to get Nick Bosa. You probably won't get a bunch of their starters. It's one thing when you have a bunch of starters out, it kind of lets the coaches know, that this could happen. We already got enough guys hurt. So they're clearly not playing. Let's not play our other regulars because, God forbid, we should get more players hurt. So it really, the 4 or 5 guys that are hurt represent about 10 to 15 guys that won't be playing. So I don't expect much out of the 49ers tonight. So Tennessee probably would be the play. So those are the guys that are starting or not starting. Starters for Cincinnati for a bit, none for the Lions. Starters for Green Bay for a little bit, none for Pittsburgh. Anthony Richardson, Leonard Riley, both showed a little something for the Colts. Probably not Drake May for the Patriots. Everyone seems to be starting for Arizona, and it looks like you're going to get both Mendoza and Cousins for the Raiders. So that should be a decent game. And no Herbert or no C.J. Stroud for the Chargers or Houston, so backups there. And then Titans playing everybody, which, is basically a backup. Any other team, they would be backups. But they'll play, and then nothing for the San Francisco 49ers. So that's your NFL recap. All right, quick little break. We'll come back. Some more college football over-unders. I went through about 30 or so more teams last night. We got a little YouTube chat. We'll get to you guys mention some stuff on YouTube, some more baseball notes, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Shedeur Sanders, Notre Dame, and a couple. Let's see if we're billionaires. We haven't checked our Powerball numbers. That is next right here. Scott Wetzel Show.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, We make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com. FanStreamSports.com. Had a little bench clearing brawl today. I see in the Cincinnati White Sox game as White Sox pitcher Davis Martin threw at the head of Sal Stewart twice. one time it sailed way over his head, right? And Stewart, the batter, was kind of like, oh, okay, kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, right? Then the very next pitch, he clunked him in the top of the head. Fortunately for him, it ricocheted off the helmet, but got him in the head. He started going after the pitcher there, Martin, but that was the end of that. They kind of broke it up. Thought he was going to pull a Mr. Vegas. I went after a guy with a baseball bat one time back in my heyday, back in high school. Yeah, the glory days. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were playing a team one of the guys on the team was a jerk. Me and my best friend, we knew him a little bit, and we didn't like him, right? Because my best friend was going out with a girl that he used to date, right? So tension was high, right? And we had a brawl earlier in the game. And so then I got the bat like an inning or so later, and he threw, which I thought was inside to me. And I just reacted, and I did like a walking tall, if you remember that, right? I started walking out to the mound, dragging my baseball bat. I don't know what I would have done. The manager comes running out of the dugout. He stops me. And I remember saying, I'm not going to hit him. I'm not going to hit him. Well, what are you doing that's got dragging a baseball bat out? I don't know. If I got to the mound, I really don't know. I think I was just dragging a bat because I forgot to drop it. I don't know. But that ensued another brawl, and that was the end of that. And that was basically the end of my baseball high school career. Yeah, and we had a big fight over that, me and the manager, and we didn't get along, and I hate him to this day. I really, long story, but yeah. So anyway, been there and done that. A couple of tweets here. Yeah, I remember that stuff like it was yesterday. I remember my high school days, definitely. A couple of things. Our good buddy Timmy in Pittsburgh says Rodgers is not playing tonight, right? I didn't think he would. He says McCarthy told everyone that 3 quarterbacks will play tonight for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Apparently, he's not one of them. One will get 1 or 2 drives, and then the remainder of the first half going to the other one, and then one in the second half. So you're looking at they have 4 quarterbacks on their roster, right? At least 4 anyway. So Mason Rudolph figures to get the start, I imagine. Play a couple of drives, then it'll be Will Howard, and then Drew Aller, the kid from Penn State who sucks. So, but no, yeah, I didn't. I would have been surprised. You get some Green Bay Packer that wants to make a name for himself. Definitely not. So anyway, there's his little. There you go. His tweet. There you go. Got to reach over me. And then what do we got? LeBron rules or LeBron rules. Where are all the LLs? Things have changed since the SNR days. Yeah, the Sporting News Radio days. We brought that up in passing. Yes, things have definitely changed, but they're around. We just started the show here. Only been on about a month here, so we were building up new viewers every single day. You got to get the word out, and I got to tell the LLs a little bit more as well. Timmy also writes, "What's happening to our Red Sox? Yeah, they better get back on track tonight against Toronto." Or it may be panic time. No, it is panic time, Tim. I am panicking already. I really am. It's not looking good. And he says, be careful about the Cubbies. Yeah, there are only 3 back of the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers start a 3-game series in L.A. tonight, too. In fact, it might be a 4-game series. In fact, it probably is a 4-game series. Now that I think about it, they're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So a 4-game series. Who are the Cubs playing this weekend? Cubbies have... Let me see. Chicago Cubs. Try to remember. They start a series with they finish up a series tonight against the Washington Nationals. Well, this afternoon, actually. And then they begin a series against the St. Louis Cardinals. That a 3-game set against the Cardinals. Boy, that's if you could at home, if you could take 2 out of 3 against St. Louis, rivalry for sure, but you should be able to do that. And you figure the Brewers will lose at least 2 out of 4 against the Dodgers, and they get the back. They have to face the aces of the Dodger staff. Yamamoto's going to be in that 4-game rotation. Boy, I tell you what, the Cubs could be just a couple back. They really could after this weekend. And the Cubs, a couple of days ago, they were a pretty good price to win the division. They're not anymore, plus 190, not that big a deal. But if you want to go Cubs, like we were talking about before, the problem with the Cubs is you got to get them to the World Series. Whereas, the American League team, Tampa Bay or Boston, they got a shot to get to the World Series without having to face the Dodgers, the Phillies, or the Braves. Whereas the Cubs have to. But the Cubs are 12-1 to win it all. I don't think I'd necessarily do that. I don't think that's worth, because they're going to be underdogs against the Phillies. They'll be underdogs against the Brewers probably. They'll be underdogs against the Dodgers. So at 12-1, to me, it's not worth it. I'd rather just bet them each series and roll it over. But still, they're playing. I don't think they're that good. I really don't. But they are playing good baseball. I'll tell you that. All right, so a couple of other football notes here, right? So we gave you the NFL things. How about a little college football? So I went over the over-unders again, right? I'm going to do about, like I said yesterday, about 30 teams a day. And this way it's not overwhelming. And then we're going to go back. These are just the initial research. I have this team winning so many games. And then we look at the boys in Vegas's number, and we look for 1.5 to 2.5 game splits, right? So I have 6 more for you today after we gave you 5 yesterday. The 6 today, 3 overs, 3 unders. We'll start with the overs. I like Fresno State. I got them going 8-4. Their over-under with the boys in Vegas is 6.5. And all these sites now do offer you, and I really don't like it to tell you the truth, but a lot of the teams, it'll be over 6.5 minus 160 or over 7.5 plus 160. There's like a 100-point swing if you want to add on. So do you get the odds and go 1 game higher, or do you not? I don't. If you have a site that allows you to put them in parlays, I'd be okay with that. But I would rather 1 game in a 12-game series is 12-game season is a lot. It really, that's a strong, to me, it's worth, I'm not worried about getting money. I look at a bet as a 50-50 proposition. I'd rather lay the 140, 150, and even 160 than, get 130, 140, 150, 160 by going 1 win higher. So over 6.5 Fresno State, to me, I like that one. Fresno State's got 6 returning starters on offense, 7 on defense. That is a lot. That really is. They went 8-4 with this same cast and crew. I see no reason why they shouldn't go 8-4 again this year. So even if it was 7.5, I would take it. I like now this one's a little juicy, minus 180. So you find a playing partner that you could put this in with. That's Georgia. They were 11-1 last year. Their over/under is 9.5. It's minus 180. I wouldn't go 10.5, even though I think they're going to go 11-1. I mean, you do have the 1, but they are playing an SEC schedule, so I'd like to be able to lose 2. Is Georgia, you take a step back and you say, is Georgia really losing 3 times in the regular season? Boy, they got everybody coming back. Their quarterback is back. It's Kirby Smart. I got to see that team lose 3 times, so I'll go over 9.5. I'll take over. How about this one? I like a lot. Jacksonville State. They were 8-4 last year. They have 4 returning starters on offense, 5 on defense, which is actually pretty good. Bunch of transfers coming in, and their over/under is only 7.5 on DraftKings rather. I got them going 10-2. So that's a major one. We'll really delve into that and isolate on that one. That looks pretty good. Under Florida State, that team's going to stink. Now, again, this is one of those where you have to lay a little juice. The 6.5 is minus 180. I'd put that in a playing partner, but I won't go 5.5, even though I got them winning 5 games. I think they're a 5-7 football team. They got a new coach. I don't like betting on new coaches. People leave. It's tough to bring new recruits in. The first year is so difficult. that they've had so many issues down at Florida State. Even 7-5 Florida State. I don't think so. Even in the lousy ACC, I like under Georgia State. They were 1-11 last year. I got them winning 2 games. They suck, and the boys in Vegas have it at 4.5. Again, -175. You want to put it in with Florida State under, but Georgia State is not winning 5 games this year. No freaking way. They suck. 1-11 last year. You think you're going from 1-11 to 5-7 even? No way. And then the last one, how about under Kansas State? Same thing, it's 8.5. Little juicy, but nothing crazy, -135. And Kansas State was 5-7 last year. I got them to going 5-7 again this year. Whether it's Kansas or Kansas State, neither one. Another first-year head coach, Colin Klein, used to quarterback there many moons ago. I don't think they have 6 wins. I really don't. Or 9 wins rather. The 9-3 for Kansas State. I don't think so. I like that one. I'll be surprised if I end up not playing that one. So those are the ones that I looked at today. I went through letter F through letter K. I'll do the L's starting tomorrow with Liberty. So, and then once we do them all, we'll end up having about 25, and then I'll do the further research and really whittle them down into, okay, here are our top 5 plays, and then 5 more plays, and then maybe, we'll end up with 15, 20 plays. Yeah, you have to, right? There's so many teams. It is what it is. You pick out which ones you want to play, I suppose. Now, it is college football, so you know what that means, right? College football, we have to do every day our Notre Dame, clip of the day. How about this? Practicing indoors, right? They got a big screen, and that's the Chicago Bulls, the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls. I get it. You want to have a championship thing, showing there. First of all, it's basketball though, and it's NBA, and you're college and you're football. Well, you can't, go get some Notre Dame, New Rockney games, right? Ara Parseghian games, there's got to be some Notre Dame clips that you can throw up there. But okay, I get it. The only other thing is, listen, I know who Michael Jordan is. You know who Michael Jordan is. My kids know who Michael Jordan is. Do those Notre Dame football players at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, they probably know him. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but do they really know who Michael Jordan is? No, they haven't watched. They didn't watch Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan retired before these guys were even born. Think about players that you didn't see, you didn't see, because they were retired already. You know of them, but does it have the really impact? Again, maybe put, maybe Kobe up there, maybe put Shaq up there. I understand why you wouldn't put LeBron up there. Screw that. Don't want that stench. But all right, but there's our Notre Dame clip of the day. We always got to throw something Notre Dame as we help them go to 12-0 and win for a national championship. NFL, Shedeur Sanders, was talked to the media yesterday, and they asked him about, being the backup supposedly with Deshaun Watson getting the start. And he will get the start the first game. And this is just another example of Sanders. Really, I like the guy. I do. I root for him. He's been asked time and time again since he took over as a starter late last year, just about the nuances of the Browns and the quarterback situation, the head coach situation, and really kind of challenging him to say something stupid and be arrogant and be a jerk. And he's not. He's not. He's come through to me in flying colors. So, again, he was asked about, Deshaun Watson, being the starter and his relationship with Deshaun, basically.
Whatever is said is direct. Obviously, it's like we was informed, and everything the right way. So it was never a miscommunication between us, So I don't know. I just don't really appreciate sometimes if things happen, and if things happen, then y'all just jump on the coach like he just tripping or something. You know, I don't really like that because it creates just extra, and I hope we all here to want to win, you know, and be a team and be a franchise. So it's kind of like we got to slow down, you know, if that's what we want. But if we just in here to just make money and get clicks, then, you know, we understand that too. So that's why I just appreciate the team. I appreciate everybody that we don't let anything online or anything really get to us, you know, because we're in our own cocoon. We're a team. So anything outside of that don't really affect us in the building.
All right, there you go. Like I said, every time they ask him a question, it's almost like a challenge of, is he going to say something stupid, you know? Let's ask him about Deshaun Watson and see him say, yeah, he's not any good and I should be the starter and I'm not getting a fair shake of things, or, you know, but every opportunity to be a jerk, he's not, you know, he's just not. So, you know, if his last name, it's funny. People said if his last name wasn't Sanders, he wouldn't have got drafted or, you know, whatever. I think the same thing now. If his last name wasn't Sanders, he wouldn't be asked these lead-in questions, and people would just take him for, okay, you know, he's battled for a spot. I mean, you know, you got Dylan Gabriel, who was drafted, you know, 2 rounds ahead of him, and who's not seen the light. You don't even hear his name anymore. So give him credit for at least, you know, being into the picture of being maybe a starting quarterback. So my father was a Browns fan, so I've had a soft spot for the Cleveland Browns, and they've been such incompetent boobs over the years. I mean, they've been so bad, just so bad, right? That, you know, you try and give the kid the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Falcons, you know, with our boy Tua tags down there against Michael Penix Jr., so Kevin Stefanski announced that Tua will get the start in preseason game number 1 as Penix Jr. is still trying to come back from his ACL
about
surgery.
The calendar. And I think about the offseason program is about laying a foundation, so specifically to the quarterback position. For Mike Penix and Tua, this was learning a new system for our guys. So laying the foundation of the new system, understanding that. When you get to training camp, now it's about really building through your installs, finding out what your players do best. We're just now entering week 1 of the preseason with this game on Friday night. Obviously, Tua is going to play in that game, and I think that's great to get game action with our guys. We'll go to Indy next week, which is awesome for us because we get to practice twice versus a very good Colts team. Then I start to think you've learned more about your team, particularly the quarterback position. And I think that comes from reps on the field. That also comes from what you're doing in the meeting room and what you're doing at walkthroughs, and you're understanding the whole thing. I will say this, where we are at this moment with the quarterback position in mind, I would tell you that they've knocked it out of the park. From a preparation standpoint, these guys are on top of it, learning the new system, understanding what's important on each given play. So I'm very pleased with where we are. I just know in the calendar where we are, we're not there yet in terms of naming somebody a starter.
Well, I mean, listen, he buried the lead. That's what we really wanted to hear at the very end, right? Ultimately, all this mumbo jumbo, and these guys are getting along and they're doing all the work, and I like where we are. And 1 second he says, I like where we are. Then the next second is he says, we're not ready to name a starter. Well, then if that's the case, how could you like where you are? You know, I mean, you know, we've had teams name their starters. We got the Minnesota Vikings naming their starter. So you pick one. Which one is it there? But ultimately, I think it's Penix's job to lose. He has to get healthy. You know, if Tua plays anything like he played last year, he wouldn't win a job at Topeka High. So to me, that's Penix's job to lose, and he might. You know, if he doesn't get healthy with his knee, he might not. But I think it's only a matter of time. Like, I don't think that team will be successful with Tua tags, you know, unless he's had a reformation of his body and his mind and everything else. To me, he looked like a player that just quit last year, just absolutely quit. So, but we will see. So, but Tua does get the start, as you heard there, Friday. Our proverbial Indiana Fever WNBA little clip. I like this. You know what? Kindness will win, go to hell, as good old Stephanie White, Fever head coach, proclaimed the other day at her news conference, right before their game 2 days ago. And I mean, that's a phony picture, but you know what? I would buy one. And I was thinking of putting, making them myself. I don't, those aren't, copyrighted. I could do that myself and put an Opposite Picks logo right there in the corner there, or maybe in the middle. Kindness will win an Opposite Picks logo, and then, go to hell underneath that. I mean, this broad can't get out of her own shadow. It's just everything she does is just gonna, they're going to have to sit her down and just say, shut up. Don't say another freaking word. And I don't care if no matter what your, player does, make damn sure you stick up for her. Otherwise, forget about it. But I like that jersey. I would actually buy one. Like I said, maybe I'll build one. All right, so we got our daily Indiana Fever story. How about our daily Sophie Cunningham? Got to have a proverbial Cunningham shot, right? Oh, yes. There you go, honey. That's it. You just keep on shaking the booty. There you go. They'll really, they'll do anything for attention. And of course, we're stupid enough. We give it to her. So, but she is cute. Right? She looks better sometimes than others, but for the most part, she's as good as it gets. She had a bigger top, it'd be even better, but it is what it is. Not that we can be complaining about that. But she's got time to do all these videos. But this is the stuff, though, that really is, as much as we goggle over it and everything, at least she's got some highlights. I don't know if she really put this together or maybe a fan put this together. But it's really not a good look for the WNBA. It really isn't, If you want to be taken seriously as talk about our playing and stuff like that, you can't have these women show up half naked to games like they do and all these fashion statements. And I know the NBA player does it, but the NBA is the NBA. You don't stop comparing yourself to the NBA, WNBA. You're not the WNBA, or you're not the NBA. You're not a guy. You're a woman, and you got to know the rules. It's as simple as that. What guys can do and what women can do are viewed differently. And, guys aren't searching for respect. They're not. They're searching for attention. They have the respect. Women are searching for respect right now, and I get it, and that's what they should be. But showing up half naked to these games like some of these women do, or making videos like that, if she in fact made those videos, but, somewhere along the line she had to send that out. I mean, it's not really... as much as we're enjoying it, it's if you take the enjoyment out of it, should they really be doing that? I don't think the WNBA wants that. I really don't. Of course, the WNBA's got their own issues. So they had a meeting yesterday to try and figure out, who's allowed in our league and who's not. And I'm really, really surprised that they didn't have rules, but they don't have any rules for transgender women. Whether that's because they know it's still a man and they just figured we're not going to allow them in, or they didn't have the foresight to realize that somewhere along the line, I mean, if 90% of the league, Scott, are lesbians, how didn't they think this might not become an issue? I don't know. And I do believe 90% of the league are lesbians. So if they're in that vein, they're that transgender, LBQ, XRZ, PDY, lane, then how didn't the WNBA come up with provisions on what to do with transgender, people? The Olympics have it. Every international event on the women's side has these rules already. And the WNBA wasn't smart enough to okay, we're somewhere along the line, we're going to have a transgender person. We know this. You can just Google transgender women basketball players and you'll find the person, the woman over in Germany there, that's playing. I mean, they had to have known. They didn't. You know what? That's the WNBA, Scott. You assume things that the average person would assume, and the WNBA doesn't do it. So they don't have any rules. So they met yesterday to try and figure out who's allowed in our league and who isn't, and they couldn't come to an agreement. They don't know. They don't know what to do. Because if we say no to transgender women, then what is that telling the whole world? We don't believe these people are really women, which they're not. They don't want to take that side. They don't want to be, they want to be politically correct. They want to be woke, and they want to say, oh, yeah, those are real women. All right. Then go allow Enos Kanter and Royce White and all the others that want to, say that they're women now as a goof and be allowed in your league. And the WNBA, they don't know. Oh, they are so screwed up. Just join society and just say they're not women. They're not. They're not. See, dopey DeJounte Carrington got kicked out of another game last night, or she got fined today, but she whacked some player in the head from Golden State last night. So, second time now in 2 games. And she had a fan courtside get kicked out of the game because the fan was apparently saying something. So, she's trying to take over for Angel Reese. I don't know. She wants to be the misfit of the family, I suppose. Put up with it, honey. Just put up with it, No big deal. Just deal with it. I don't know what he was saying. But he gets the fan kicked out, and then she whacks some girl in the head again. Amazing. Just amazing. Real or not? You make the call.
Of course.
Guys playing at the LIV tournament last week here in New York. Carl Schwartz.
Oh.
Some fish ate his golf ball. Is that possible? Let's see it again. You can see,
3 of course.
Pretty good golfer, right? Tee shot. I get that. I don't doubt that. Now is the fish really eating the golf ball? I don't know. I mean, the golf ball's pretty big, I didn't even think there were fish in those little ponds. Have you ever been to those, if you've ever been on a golf course and they have those ponds, they put all the green dye and it's like one big mud puddle. I don't know how a fish could even survive that, to tell you the truth, let alone eat a golf ball. But maybe. There definitely was an LIV tournament here in New York. He was in it. So perhaps. All right, we buried the lead, maybe. I have not checked our Powerball numbers. We could be a billionaire and not even know it. I almost don't want to know. I'd rather just live with the possibility of it could happen versus find out that, in fact, we're not. But, all right, let's grab our ticket. I never did go back, by the way. Hold on a second. Where is it? Here it is. I never did. I never did go back to get the right numbers. So I'm off 1 digit. So if we don't win by 1 digit, then I don't know what I would do. I don't know. So here we go. Powerball numbers from last night: 4, no. 26, no. 60. Oh, I can tell you already. Nobody won. 66, no. 67, no. 69, no. And Powerball winning was 9. So I bought 2 tickets. I also bought one, just a lucky number, birthdays here in the house. So we had 10 different numbers, and we didn't hit one of them. Every once in a while, you need a little reminder about how difficult it is. You have the dream. Oh, what am I going to do with the money? I'm going to give some away. I'm going to look like Mr. Nice Guy. And then reality slaps you in the face. 10, forget 5. I got 10 numbers, and I didn't hit one stinking number. And I guarantee you nobody won. Now, 66, 67, 69, no freaking way. Let's find out. Anybody win? Yes. No, nobody won. Oh, no, somebody did. Wow. I'm shocked. With those, with it only goes from 1 to 69, right? Or 1 to 79. Having 3 numbers in the 60s and somebody picked that, it must have been a quick pick. So someone won $1 billion last night. How about that? Wow. And I told you yesterday, right? The schmuck who got 5 numbers, he got $1 million. Yeah. 4 numbers in the Powerball got 50,000 stinking dollars. 4 numbers in 5 out of the 6 numbers, and you got $50,000. Meanwhile, the other guy won $1 billion. Oh, I just as soon not have any numbers. So, all right. Couldn't even get the Powerball number. Even a Powerball number was worth $4 if you got that. Didn't even get that. Here's something that doesn't make any sense. If you got the Powerball number only, you won $4. If you got the Powerball number and one of the other 5, you won $4. How does that make any sense? I didn't get anything extra for having the Powerball number and one of the 5? Nope. If I got 2 numbers and the Powerball number, I only won $7 stinking dollars. And really, you won 5 because you paid $2 for the ticket. I got 3 of the 6 numbers drawn, and I won $7 stinking dollars. Oh, that's just not right. I get aggravated when I look at this stuff. I really, I can't do it. All right, we'll leave you with this. We have different versions of "We Leave You With This," but this one's, this one's. I like this one. Sister Mary Jo Pope died last night. Look at this. Now, is that true? I mean, that's got to be true, right? But she actually did the ball flip? Let's see. That I get. Oh, how great is that? How great is that? That's great. They had Sister Mary Jo. It was Pope Hat Night. Literally, that it was in Chicago last night for the White Sox game. I don't know what kind of hat they gave out, but she throws out the first pitch and she's going through this whole routine. Oh, that's great. That's great. Anything else? Ron Haven says he won $8. Nice. All right. So if he won, I just disconnected it. So Ron, you must have had 3 numbers total, right? A Powerball number and then 2 of the regular numbers. $8 stinking dollars. $8 stinking dollars. All right, so you won, but at least you could say you won. How about that? Hey, Scott, which of the 3 MLB teams do you think have the potential to make a juggernaut run over the last 6 weeks of the season and steal a wild card spot or a division title? Which 3? So I thought you were going to give me like a list of teams. I would say the 3 teams are, well, we gave them out earlier this week. We put bets in. Toronto was one of them. Now, it's a little bit easier to say that now. They're only a game and a half back. But Toronto was one. I think they could. St. Louis, I thought, was another one. I think they can make a steal. And then the third team we bet on was Miami, the Marlins, who won again yesterday. Maybe, just maybe. I thought there were 3 teams that struggled recently, although Toronto's playing better baseball, but that are due for comebacks, Ron, that are like, all right, everyone's going to go through a bad period. They've gone through their bad period. Everyone's down on them. But I think Miami's a pretty good baseball team. I think St. Louis has been a halfway decent baseball team. And I think Toronto, obviously, is a very good baseball team. So Toronto, St. Louis, and Miami would be the 3 teams that I think could kind of make a run for the money there. Any late tweets that we got and emails? Check the emails. Yes, me and Mick are going to split an entry in the Circus Survivor. So one of our LLs LW's watching, and offered up to split an entry. So we'll have an entry. We'll announce our picks and everything on Friday every single week. So that'll be a lot of fun. Do appreciate that, Mick. Any late news breaking on the 4-Letter Network or other sites? No Carson Beck tonight. So Arizona's not going with Beck. So who's it going to be then? Are they going to play what's his face the whole game? I can't imagine that. Their 3rd string quarterback got hurt. Oh no, that was Carolina's 3rd string quarterback. So it'll be no national championship rematch, but it will be Jacoby Brissett will start the game. Kirk Cousins will get the start for the Raiders, but I told you Mendoza will play some. And so it looks like, I'm guessing Brissett will play a halfway decent amount, believe it or not. Fights at the Eagles camp. Who cares? What else is new? Bears won't change their name, but they're still focused on going to Indiana. We'll see if that really happens. And you got the Field of Dreams game later on tonight with Minnesota. And who they play? Baltimore? Philadelphia, right. Philadelphia. 3 teams that we gave out today as our plays. Went 2-1 yesterday. Cha-ching, cha-ching. We were going to take the Washington. We're going to grab a half a point. We'll take the Washington Mystics. It's 6.5 right now. Most of these sites allow you to buy a half a point. I like buying at half a point to go higher to another whole number. So give me Washington +7 at Las Vegas. I think they can win outright. I really do. It's a back-to-back. They played in Las Vegas 2 nights ago. They lost. They stayed there, obviously. Las Vegas has a game against Minnesota, which is the best team in the WNBA. So this is kind of a look-ahead spot. I think Washington can win this outright, but I'll take them +7. I'll take the Angels +140 against Texas. Jacob deGrom is pitching for the Rangers. He's so overrated. They're only 7-10 in his last 17 starts. Wolbert Urena, who the fudge is that? He's pitching for the Angels. He's actually pretty good. He's 7-8. For an Angels team that has the worst record in baseball. He's got an ERA under 3. He's allowed 1 run or less in 6 of his last 8 starts. Rangers can't hit anyway. Tempted to take the under 7.5, but I'll take the Angels. I hate betting on them, but I'll take the Angels at home +140 against the overrated Jacob deGrom. And then the last one, I'm going to continue to play against the Red Sox until they're at the point now where I tell myself this: if you won 5, 6, 7 in a row or lost it, I'm going to keep on playing on you if you've won that many until you lose 2 in a row. Or if you've lost 6, 7, 8 in a row, I'm going to keep playing against you until you've won 2 in a row. I'm going to make you prove that you've really turned things around. So from here on out, tomorrow, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to bet against Boston. So you want to give me Toronto with Scherzer on the hill at home +135? I'll take it. So Mystics +7 -120 against the Aces. Angels +140 at home against Texas. Toronto +135 at home against Boston. Our plays tonight. So good luck with the picks. Thanks to Brandon Steiner for joining us. Collectibles Exchange is his website. Nick Hamaty as well. Tiny Nick's Giant Picks. Check out his podcast for more plays from him. And that'll do it for us today. Good job by everyone. Do appreciate all the guests, all the viewers. Hit that subscribe button, please. Check out all my other shows at fanstreamsports.com, fanstreamsports.com. For all the shows. Have yourselves a great Thursday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow with another lineup of great guests, including Mark Lawrence at 3 o'clock. Colby Dant. We'll do some college. He's great college football. We'll do some over-unders with him. That'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. Hope you guys can tune in. We'll talk to you then.